Welcome to our Energy Edge webinar, Preserving Your Full Service Customers While Acquiring New Online Customers. This webinar is geared to take approximately 40 minutes, as we know that your time is valuable. Once we have completed, we will open it up to a short Q&A section, so please hold your questions until then, or you can simply type them in on the right side of your screen and we will address them after the presentation. If you notice on the right side of your screen, there's a small section in the GoToMeeting box for chat. Simply type your questions in there and we'll get to them after the meeting. John and I will stay on as long as necessary, and we'll be glad to take any questions after the meeting. Let me begin by introducing John Vrubel. John is the founding partner and the managing partner of Energy Edge, as well as our resident expert in business development with a proven track record for building businesses that are rewarded by the marketplace. John?
Well, thanks, Adrian, and good morning, everyone. Glad that you were able to take the time this morning to join us. And Adrian told me before we got on the webinar that we had a number of late-minute registrations this morning, so I expect that we'll probably be having some other folks join us in progress as well. In addition to talking about full-service customers and what happens with them and some of those topics on this particular webinar, we're also highlighting this by including some of 2012-2013 heating season, this past heating season that we just wrapped up, some of the performance highlights in terms of online sales. So these are some top-line results, kind of a preview of some of the work that we're doing as we drill down on the data from this past heating season. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into some of the information as we go through this morning's webinar. All right, first let's talk a little bit about the agenda. We're going to cover 4 different areas this morning. One is who is buying online? What does the customer look like? How are they behaving online? Who's selling online as well? And what are some of the trends that are clearly defining our future in the fuel business? The second topic that we're going to cover is e-commerce and the impact on traditional fuel companies. You know, what's happening? What's happening in terms of prospects companies normally deal with, their existing customers, how are they impacting their gallons, their margins, and other components of their business as well. The third area that we're going to talk about is how does customer behavior change when you have an online option connected to your business? If you're a full-service company, how do your full-service customers behave? If you have an on-demand or as a will call or phone orders by phone type of a company, will call or COD as it's referred to, how are those customers' behavior change? And how about prospects, people that are out there in the marketplace looking for what you're selling, propane, heating oil, commercial fuels, what's different about them? And then finally, what does it take to sell online? Typically on these webinars, we get companies attending that are considering adding online to their business, or they know they need to add online to their business, and they're trying to figure out what it takes to be able to accomplish that. So we'll share some of that with you as we see on this side the complexity, and I don't want to scare you off because it's really not very complex. There certainly are some different ways that you have to approach it, and also some of the simplicity of e-commerce. So let's jump right in. Who's buying online today? As we know, all of us have access to the internet. Most of the people around us, virtually everyone in the U.S. today, can get online if they want to be online, even if they don't have internet in their home. Today, certainly, it's available to many people at work. All the public libraries have internet access and so forth. So virtually everyone in the U.S. today is online. Importantly, though, these next 2 numbers are something that you should pay attention to because it impacts your business very critically. Is 83% of people today do research online before they make a purchase. They're going online to learn about the products and the services that they are interested in. And then 85% of the world's population, online population, has used the internet to make a purchase. In the U.S., that number is about 80% of internet users also that make their purchases online. and that number has actually been increasing. But you're talking about 4 out of every 5 people that are buying online. So online continues to grow, and importantly, as this graph represents on this page, online sales continue to outpace traditional fuel sales. You know, if we look at retail, and the next slide actually directs us to kind of learn and take a page out of the retailers' books, the big box retailers. They've been involved in the business for a while, and but their online sales are increasing at a faster percentage than their traditional store sales. And that's actually the same thing that we're now seeing as more and more energy retailers also go online. So what are the drivers of these internet purchases? Why do people go online? Why do you and I, you know, make purchases or research online and so forth? In one word, it's all about convenience. Oh, sorry about that. It's really all about convenience, and convenience is manifested in several different ways. Convenience of time, it takes you less time to shop online. You don't have to travel, so you save time. You don't have the inconvenience of having to go someplace. You can sit down and click. You can do it when you want to do it. You know, the convenience of doing it at 11 o'clock at night, or, you know, if you're shopping for heating oil and you're coming home from work and it's 7 o'clock and you're, you know, all the heating oil dealers' offices, of course, are closed at that time, or it's Saturday afternoon and you realize, oh, you know, I meant to need to make a purchase. I meant to get a delivery of propane because I know I'm going to need it for my pool heater. You know, there are, when we first started in the online, selling fuel online about 12 years ago, one of the things I used to enjoy doing on Monday mornings when I'd look at the report of the activity over the weekend was kind of take a look at the timestamps on when people placed orders. And yes, they do go on and place the orders when our offices were not open, you know, in the evening when it was convenient for them, on Saturdays. And there are the people out there that are placing those internet orders at 2 o'clock in the morning. They absolutely do. In addition, the internet provides transparency. You know, we can learn more things. We can understand prices. We can get prices for virtually everything online, and certainly fuel is no exception. And that's continuing to increase in our industry as well. We can see the selection of products and services more readily online. We have more opportunity to buy different things or to see what's available for us online quickly. And of course, we can get value online. And a little bit later, I'll talk about pricing, because it's not all about price. But customers do expect value online, and value is a variety of different components, including that convenience, including the service that goes along with it, and price is part of that value proposition as well. Who are these shoppers, though, that are online? It's surprising to me. This is some data that I uncovered not too long ago. It's actually from crowdsourced, that was published just this past December. And baby boomers. Now, baby boomers, you think about baby boomers, you know, born between, you know, the post-war World War II years in 1946 to 1964. I actually fall in the kind of the middle of that range. Baby boomers spent more than twice as much online as consumers aged 18 to 22. So that was the first thing that caught my attention, because I think about, you know, certainly my kids, you know, they do everything online. I have a married son and his wife. Matter of fact, she's a writer. She writes for magazines. She has written for newspapers quite extensively. She doesn't get a newspaper delivered to the house. She does it online. Matter of fact, there are very few magazines that she receives in the house, because most of that she does online as well. The second point is baby boomers between the ages of 56 to 66 years old, which are the oldest group of the baby boomers, spend the most money online compared to all other generations. So you have the folks that are this particular group, you know, approaching retirement age, or some of them retired at this point, spending more online. So that perception that many people have that it's really the younger generations that are buying online, it's actually true. However, it's the older generations that are buying more online. And this last one is also insightful, where over 70% of 45 to 55-year-olds have bought something online in the last 3 months. From our experience, having done this ourselves from 2000 to 2009 before we launched Energy Edge, and then we wound up developing the Energy Engine, which is the e-commerce platform for fuel dealers, the e-commerce platform and entire e-commerce business system. But our experience before we did that was that our internet buyers, the folks that were buying fuel from us online, were coming from all segments of our population. There weren't particular demographics. Some were wealthy, some were not so wealthy, some were older, some were younger. Race doesn't have an impact. Geography really doesn't have an impact either, outside of the fact that you have to have the fuel that you're selling in your home in order for you to be in the market. So I mentioned before about taking the lead from major retailers because they've been selling online, started doing it about 15 years ago now. And they're seeing an increasing percent of their sales come from the internet. And most recently, we've seen an acknowledgement of the need to also be price competitive in stores as well as they are online, or as well as their competitors are online. You may have heard about the behavior referred to as showrooming, where people would go into a Best Buy or a Target and maybe shopping for an item. Electronics is a popular one for showrooming. And you walk in there with your smartphone and you find the model that you're interested in buying, and you quickly pull up on your smartphone other online retailers that have that same product for sale and what their price is. Well, showrooming, has driven change. We saw for the first time this past holiday season where Best Buy and Target matched online retailers' pricing. Of course, their online prices were the same as their store prices as well. So it's really an acknowledgement of the power of the internet, and that showrooming phenomenon is actually spreading too, as Placed Research in February pointed out that Bed Bath & Beyond, which I wouldn't think about someplace where you would showroom, but I guess obviously it is, and even places like PetSmart and Toys R Us are actually experiencing the showrooming phenomenon. So the point is that people are in fact using the internet to research, to understand the products and services that they're buying, and to also get a value in those purchases. Even local retailers are now online. Used to be if I was interested in something from the the retailers in downtown, my downtown area, I get in the car and go downtown and do a little bit of shopping. Now I expect them to be on the internet as well. I searched on a new restaurant downtown just a day or so ago. I couldn't remember the entire name of the restaurant, but I just searched on. I happen to live in the Poconos in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, and there was a new restaurant that opened, and I knew it had the word yard in it. And I just searched on Stroudsburg Main Street Yard, or Stroudsburg Main Street Restaurant Yard, or that combination of words, and sure enough, there it was, all the information that I needed about that restaurant, including reviews on the restaurant and so forth. By the name of the restaurant was Yard of Ale, which is so it has the Irish flair. If any of you know what a glass is, and selling ale by the yard, as they say, it's kind of interesting. And in terms of e-commerce for fuel, it certainly is growing and continues to be a huge opportunity. The reason for that is still it's the minority of retailers in the fuel business that have any kind of an online purchase option for their customers. There are more companies out there that allow their existing customers to pay online, but it's the minority. Matter of fact, it's only about 10 to 12% of companies that give new customers the opportunity to come to their website, register, set up a password, for their accounts and so forth, and make a purchase just like they've been accustomed to doing on Amazon. That's the kind of experience that customers are expecting today. and the minority of retailers are providing that convenience for new customers that may be looking for the products that they're selling. There are more companies in the that sell heating oil that are doing online than any of the other fuels. Propane is now starting to catch on, but that is even a smaller number of companies that are offering that option. In my opinion, and based upon our experience, probably representing a very, very significant online opportunity, especially as we see more and more customer-owned tanks in many of the markets, and some of the shifts that we see in the Northeast here as far as the types of energy retailers that are selling propane. So if you happen to fall into one of those buckets, we'd be glad to talk with you more about that. All right, some of the preview of some of the numbers that we're seeing as we're now beginning the analysis of some of the performance coming out of our online network, our clients that use the energy engine, and some of the network data. We're seeing some very, very significant changes as far as how fuel is purchased. What these numbers compare is this past heating season, 2012-2013. So we're actually using the EIA definition of the heating season, which is October 1st to March 31st, and compared that same period to the identical period of the prior years, the prior heating season. Some of the things that we saw: same-store growth in terms of volume, in terms of gallons, up a pretty amazing 274%. Now that we know this past heating season was warmer, without a doubt, we're trying to now get degree day changes across the entire region, so that we can actually make essentially the change degree day neutral. But even if you even if you factor in degree days, we know that the offline volume was not up anywhere near 274% compared to the prior season, even with more normal temperatures this year. So online fuel sales growth with our clients and same-store growth, I should mention what that means if you're not familiar with that. These would only be for companies that were offering online fuel sales this past heating season as well as the prior season. So there's no new store growth in here, as that would be called. This is all same-store growth. Pretty impressive, 274%. Same-store web visits also up plus 170%. So they're having that much more traffic get to their website to check them out, basically, and to make purchases. Same-store unique visitors. Now, unique visitors, just so you understand the terminology, a visitor to a website, if I go to a website 10 times in say the last 30 days, I count as 10 visitors, but I'm only one unique visitor. So unique visitors are more valuable because it's different people then that are visiting. Up 219%. So you can see what's going on with traffic, is you're getting more and more people as a result of searches online, finding you online, and ultimately coming and buying. Same-store organic search traffic, up 271%. Organic search traffic, there are actually three types of search traffic that are typically measured. One is direct search traffic. Direct search traffic is if somebody types your company name or your URL directly into, say, a Google search field. So that's direct. There's referral traffic. That may come from directories. Maybe it's like a yellowpages.com or a Manta or one of the other directories, or it could be another company that you're working with that has a link to your website on their website. That would be referral traffic as well. And then the third is organic search traffic, which is actually the most valuable search traffic. Because what, I should say this, it's the most valuable search traffic in terms of growing your business. The direct search traffic is certainly valuable because people already know who you are, and that's good, and they're searching you by name. But the organic search traffic is the most valuable for growing your business, because what somebody's doing there with an organic search is they're typing into that search bar now the phrase for the product or service that they're looking for. So they may be typing in propane in Hartford, Connecticut. Or I'm looking for the best price on heating oil in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. That's organic search, and when you come up on that organic search, and that visitor then gets to your website, that's the type of search that you want. That's the type of traffic that you want to develop with some of your marketing efforts. But that was up 271%. The average drop size, now this is heating oil, for this past season was 195 gallons. That was actually down by about 5 gallons from the prior season, but is compared to 153 gallons for offline deliveries. So the industry average overall for all heating oil drops is 153. Online, you will have a higher drop size, which is very important because it's a huge contributor to fleet efficiency, which reduces your fleet costs, which are your most expensive costs within your business. So it's a huge, huge productivity and profit increase, not only for the online business, but for your core business as well. It does some pretty cool stuff for you. So, moving on, e-commerce's impact on fuel companies in terms of more prospects. We already saw on the previous page what our network was seeing as far as increases in searches. And it's, certainly we're seeing from our clients increased searches of easily greater than 100% per year. Adrian, I'm hearing some background noise on my end. Are you hearing it on your end as well?
I am, and I was just going to ask if we have any callers that could possibly just put themselves on mute to see if, therefore, we could get some background noise removed.
Yeah, we're getting a fair amount of static, so I don't know if everyone else is hearing it or not. But if that static or where that's coming from can be muted, or if you haven't entered your audio pin into your control panel, your GoToMeeting control panel, that would be helpful as well. That audio pin, just open up the control panel and you can enter your audio pin. Oh, maybe it's gone now.
No, it just came back. So I'm just thinking if everyone could just hit their mute buttons, it would assist.
All right, so we'll go ahead and continue here. Web visits. If you're running an online fuel business, you should be expecting better than 1,000 visitors per month to be seeing your website. Before we did this morning's webinar, I just looked at analytics. One of our companies, actually one of our newer companies, that's using the energy engine and doing, following our roadmap and doing a lot of things right. It's April, right? And for the last 30 days, he had or they had better than 2,500 visitors to their website in only about 3 months, maybe even less than 3 months, of which about 1,500 of those, better than 1,500, were unique visitors even. So they're just really motoring, and they're not even in a densely populated market either. So getting web traffic to your website is very, very doable, and we have all of those metrics, as well, to be able to guide our clients, kind of through the process. Visit duration is greater than 3 minutes this past season. So if you think about that, that's really greater than the equivalent of a 3-minute telephone call with a potential customer, because as we navigate the internet, that we go through pages pretty quickly, looking for the information that we're searching for. So if you can have someone spending 3 minutes taking a look at your business, you're doing pretty darn well. The other thing that we're seeing, and this is continuing to increase, is what we've come to call E-List Gold. A fully functional system designed for fuel retailers will capture email addresses, certainly from customers, from registrants who haven't ordered and also from visitors that are requesting customized quotes. Those e-lists become absolutely gold because it gives you the ability to go back and communicate with those customers so you can attract them if they haven't registered, haven't become a customer, to actually get them to become customers. Our clients see that list of prospects grow to the thousands in their typically their first 12 months. We watched several companies over this past heating season where they were increasing the size of that list by 20% every 30 to 60 days. And we have clients now that have been using the Energy Engine for a couple of years, that are enjoying the benefits of having thousands of email addresses that they can communicate with at virtually no cost or very, very low cost. And they can do it with immediacy too. They have something that they want to talk about. Oil prices have been dropping. Certainly, as all of you know that are in the business, in the last week, to get an email out, so we just lowered our prices, or get a text message out to those folks that we just lowered our prices. The people that are in the market, you bet they're going to come and they're going to take a look at what you're offering, to place that order. So those benefits become huge. I mentioned earlier when we were talking about internet convenience that it's not all about the price, and that's very, very true. We've heard customers tell us over the years, and our clients relay to us that they're hearing the same thing today, almost verbatim, where customers will say, hey, I came to you, I started to do business with you because of the price. Your price was competitive, or your price looked attractive, or I was able to see your price online, but I stay for the convenience. And that's a very key point, because with online fuel businesses, you actually have the ability to develop a very loyal, long-term customer, much better than you've ever had the opportunity to do with an on-demand customer by phone. So a very, very key benefit of being online. All right. So talking about how do existing customers react, really two groups of customers we're breaking down, the full-service customers as well as if you have existing phone-on-demand customers. So what happens if you now provide an online option? One of the things that we know with certainty, and actually we've got the experience to back this up, is full-service customers are generally satisfied with full service. They buy full service. They know that they're paying more for full service. Okay, they know that they're paying a premium price, but that's okay because they're doing it for the peace of mind and the security that it provides to them. They know that if you're a full service dealer, you're watching your tank, you're making sure they don't run out of fuel. If there's a problem, in the middle of the night, as people always seem to think that happens. You're going to be there to be able to take care of them, keep them warm. You're going to provide them with service agreements. You're probably going to provide them with budget plans, other different kind of programs, and so forth. So you have all these benefits rolled into your full service program. People like that. They buy it for full service. They don't necessarily buy that for price. To the right on this particular slide are two case studies that we have been involved in ourselves. The first one actually goes back about 10 years ago now, because when we launched online back in 2000, we were interested in the same topic because we had at that point about 12,000 full-service customers that certainly we wanted to keep as full-service customers. Our experience was we had 1/2 of 1%. That's 1/2 of 1% of customers that had been on full service move off of full service and move to the online option. So that was very, very pleasing to us. It was such a small percentage. So it kind of bore out for us, and certainly we knew anecdotally from talking with the customers, our full service customers were satisfied with being full service, and they wanted to be full service for a reason, for the things we mentioned before. Case study number 2 is actually still ongoing. This is a company up in Massachusetts. It's one of our clients, and they have measured, since they started online, the source where that online customer comes from. their experience has been that 30% of those online customers are absolutely new to the company, never done business with them before, and this is a company that's been around in Western Massachusetts for years, probably the dominant company in the marketplace, certainly probably the most strongly branded company in the marketplace. They do heating oil, propane, commercial fuels, full-service HVAC installation, and so forth. But as long as they've been around, which is better than 40 years, I believe, still 30% of the customers that came to their online were new to the company. Another 13% were customers they had previously done business with before but had lost them to another fuel company. So online enabled them to win back that customer. In their particular case, 52% of their online customers had formerly been phone COD customers from them. And that was okay because they were offering, I think it was a couple of pennies per gallon discounts for customers that bought online, because online is less expensive to service that customer, so a dealer typically passes on some of those savings in terms of price. And they knew that handling that customer by phone COD would actually save them money, so they were okay. They actually would just as soon have all of their phone COD customers buy online because that customer is actually more profitable online. The last group then is customers that were formerly buying from this company on automatic delivery. 5% of their online customers actually came from auto, which they were in an area, because we questioned that, because that percentage actually, honestly, was a couple of percentage points higher than we expected it to be. We expected it to be about 3%, and they said, well, no, we're not surprised at all, because they shared with us that they were losing 5 or 6 full-service customers every month, and to other competitors. And once they added online, they were actually able to keep those customers from moving to another company. So they were able to save those customers. They were also in maybe a little bit more economically depressed area than the average community in Massachusetts as well. So they had more customers that had been full service that just because of the economic situation were searching out lower priced alternatives in order to keep their family warm. So if we look at the phone on demand customers, they may move to online if encouraged, and actually many of our clients who do have phone on demand customers will absolutely encourage their customers to go online for the reasons I just mentioned. Online processing or fulfilling online orders actually save customers in the magnitude of about 20% compared to traditional full service costs that you have inside the company. So, if you're taking 20% of your fulfillment cost out of that order, you can see where it would make sense to pass on, a couple of pennies to a customer and encourage them to actually go online. And that's typically the method that's followed by many companies that currently offer phone on-demand services to their customers. All right, there we go. My arrow down wouldn't advance the slide. One of the other dynamics about online fuel sales is it increases margins without increasing your price. It gives you the ability. And as we just mentioned on the previous slide, it's driven by that 20% reduction in order fulfillment costs. So it's important for you to understand where those savings come from. I have here 200-gallon drop size, as we saw with the updated numbers earlier in this presentation for this past heating season. That number came at 195. But again, recall that the industry average is 153. And so if you're delivering an extra 40 gallons or 45 gallons to a home or to a business, and your biggest cost, which it is getting that truck or that driver to that house or to that business. Once you're there, if you can pump another 40, 45 gallons, you've already got your delivery costs covered. So those extra 45 gallons have a much, much higher margin because your delivery costs are based upon the overall averages. So you have a huge savings when you increase that drop size. Online deliveries are also done much like automatics. The only difference is that a customer may order a specific number of gallons if that's what you set up your business rule. So they may say, I want 200 gallons delivered. If that's the case, the driver needs to set the meter stop before they pump. Other than that, it's handled by just like automatics. You go, you fill, you leave. Nobody needs to be home. You don't need to interact with the homeowner at that particular point. Payment-wise, there's no bad debt. As long as you follow our guidelines anyway, there's no bad debt. There are no bad checks that you're chasing. You have no keying of credit card numbers as long as you're using an automated system and your customers expect you to have an automated system. And you're also not issuing any manual account credits, which are particularly laborious in several of the systems. And of course, you're also reducing your customer care expense. On the fleet side, and this applies not only to your online business, but also to your core business, is you wind up increasing your delivery density. Okay, so if you think about this, you pick up an online customer, you're now delivering to somebody that you had previously been driving by, so you're increasing your delivery density. You add 100 online customers, 200 online customers, obviously it becomes that much more. As you increase that density, what also happens is you wind up increasing the gallons delivered per driver, and your driver's cost is relatively fixed. Okay, so the more gallons that you can get your drivers to deliver, the lower your cost is. The same thing with your vehicle. You increase the number of gallons delivered per vehicle. So that combination between your drivers and your truck has had tremendous, tremendous impact, certainly in our history. And our clients are experiencing the same thing now as you have the benefit of serving more customers within the same area. All right. Spend just a couple of minutes since this is a presentation that's that talks about full service customers and also phone on demand customers. One of the questions that we get very often is, okay, how do I brand my business? Do I use my heritage brand? Do I use a new brand or a secondary brand? There are three different branding strategies that we see executed. One is to use that heritage brand. You know, the same brand that's been on that business maybe for the generations, as you know, is typical in our industry, where you know, dad maybe started the business or granddad started the business, or you know, where you have businesses that have been around for years. There's equity that's built up in that brand that has value in the marketplace, and using that brand is generally the option that we would recommend to our clients as being the most effective to be able to build the business quickly and have customers immediately have trust in your business. The secondary strategy that we see, or the second strategy that we see, is where a company says, you know, John, you know, I know you say that you've done these case studies and a full service customer stays, you know, full service, but I'm afraid. So, you know, we have companies that have launched secondary brands, new brands, just to do online. In some cases, we have companies that have been traditionally full-service companies, and they said, you know, we know that this on-demand segment of the marketplace is growing, and actually now by the industry, it's actually the largest volume segment. It exceeds the gallons provided to full-service customers now at this point. So full-service companies have wanted to enter that segment, so they've gone and they've acquired a COD company in their market, and they may use that brand for that company for their online business. So we've seen that strategy. And then the third one is a hybrid brand, which is kind of a combination of both. And let me show you just some examples. Let me get my highlighter out here. This is a company that is one of those companies, been around for years and has a very strong reputation in their particular market. And this is their online business. You can see actually they modified their logo on their online site to actually call out the online. So they used their existing brands and develop the business. Here's another one, again a company with a great reputation in their market that has branded their online business using their heritage brand. If we look here, here's a company, and actually the company here is a large multi-fuel, multi-location company, and obviously in Pennsylvania in this case. But they said, no, we don't want to put our heritage brand on there. We want to launch a new brand specifically to sell fuel online. So they did there. These other two are hybrid brands. That was the third option that I mentioned. So this particular company is on Long Island. The name of the company obviously is Morania. But they, for their online business, they developed a new logo. Still uses the same kind of colors and feel of their corporate logo, but their online business is branded as Morania Oil Express to communicate that there's something different about Morania Oil Express than the traditional business. Similarly, here, this company, NHL Express, they took the initials of their full-service business, added Express to it, had the logo look very similar in terms of style and colors and so forth, but took a similar approach where they said, hey, we want to try and get some of the equity that we have from our existing brand, from our heritage brand, but we also want to communicate with a different brand that this is a different level of service, a different type of service. So three different ways that we see clients executing brand when they launch an online business. All right, so then finally, before we wrap up, what does it take to run an online business? How do you put it all together? And these are really the things that you need to know. The first thing that you need to be successful at an online business is you need to have the commitment. Okay, it is a new business, so you really need to give it the attention that it deserves. And what that really requires is a manager for the online business that is accountable for that online business. And it doesn't need to be the owner of the business, doesn't need to be the general manager of the business. It can be someone else in the business, and oftentimes it is. But you need a manager who is accountable, who is going to pay attention. It's not going to take their full-time attention, but if they are accountable and they have the commitment to the business, it absolutely will make a difference between your success or otherwise. You need to be operating on a robust e-commerce platform. It needs to be fully automated because that's where your savings comes from. We see a couple of things that companies have done or have tried to do that don't work out all that well. In some cases, they may say to their webmaster or whoever takes care of their website, hey, I want my customers to be able to order online. Put up a page, maybe it's form fields, and fill out your name, address, and your tank size and how many gallons you want, and click place the order. And what that does is it goes to a customer service representative, typically via email, so it becomes an order by email. But because it's not an automated system, the customer service representative then needs to call that customer, because certainly you don't want to take credit cards online if you're not using secure servers, or transmit that information via email, certainly. So you still have that interaction. In that particular case, what you've actually done is increased your cost of order fulfillment because you've paid to have some technology developed, but it's not automated technology. But you paid for that cost, and you're still handling the order essentially the same way. The more important thing, though, is that you're not meeting customer expectations, because customers today expect to be able to go online, confirm the price for their particular order, place their order, get a confirmation that they placed the order, pay online, get a confirmation when that order is going to be delivered, get a confirmation after that order is delivered via email. Think about Amazon. Think about the Amazon experience, and that's what customers expect today. The other thing about the robust e-commerce platform is it needs to be designed specifically for retail fuels. There are a lot of nuances to our business The other thing that we see companies do sometimes is they'll again talk to their webmaster, the person who takes care of their website, and tell them what they want to do, and the person will say, oh yeah, we can do that, and we'll just go get a shopping cart. And there are shopping carts that are available, and shopping carts, and a lot of them are very, very good as shopping carts. But if you think about shopping carts, they're typically designed for a product that can be shipped via UPS or U.S. Postal Service or FedEx, and it's a relatively simple purchase and delivery process that's very predictable. In the case of oils or heating oil or propane even more so, where you have all the different tank issues. Heating oil, if you're doing, as more and more companies are doing first delivery tank inspections, or you have different pricing levels or pricing zones, and so forth. We've actually looked, as we built software, and we've built 4 platforms now, we've actually looked at actually using shopping carts as the basis for the platform and then modifying it to meet the needs of the fuel industry. And each time we've done that, we've decided not to do that because of so many of the unique nuances of the business. You also need some planning. We help with that in terms of financial plans and the marketing plans. Again, based upon our experience, it's not all that complex, and we're glad to help because our client success certainly is our success. So we help every step along the way. And that includes helping with marketing, but you do need to have some marketing support. Most companies are already dealing with companies that provide them with maybe SEO on their existing site. The marketing is actually fairly simple, and the last point here is marketing. We provide a marketing roadmap, which is actually the specific tactics. There are 6 of them that are vital, and there are another 7 of them that are secondary. But those vital 6 are the things that we believe every one of our clients should be using on a regular basis. The good news is that most of them are e-marketing tactics, which are, in virtually all cases, less expensive than if you were doing more traditional marketing tactics. So don't have time to, in this webinar, obviously, to go through all of that. But the marketing roadmap is really the key to driving traffic to the website, and it all starts with the traffic. So as we wrap up, in summary, what we're seeing is tremendous growth from e-commerce, and we certainly believe that e-commerce is in fact going to have more of an impact on our future. We do know that e-commerce done right actually grows energy businesses, and one of the things that we struggle with in this industry is acquiring new customers today, especially if you're on the heating oil side. You've seen gallons decline. We have clients that are actually growing their gallons, and in some cases growing them very significantly by following a consistent e-commerce program. We know that customers respond favorably. We reviewed that information. Losing full-service customers is not a concern. You can service on-demand customers with a higher margin, and you can acquire prospects by the thousands and be able to communicate with them efficiently and effectively. In our case, we like to help our clients, so selling online, we do everything we possibly can to make it just as easy as possible. And like I mentioned on the last slide, one of the biggest keys to the success is to absolutely follow the roadmap that we provide to our clients so that you don't make some of the mistakes that quite honestly we made over the years, and we give you the benefit of that experience. So that's up our webinar for this morning. Thank you for joining us, and I'm going to turn it back to Adrian because we'll stay on as if you have questions.
Thank you, John. I'd like to take it in a little bit of a different direction this morning because I do notice that there are a couple people that have posted already that they're interested in our e-commerce software package. So, John, maybe you could address what the next steps would be.
Yeah, be glad to do that. Yeah, if you're interested in talking with us, and it sounds like a couple of you may have written something into the chat feature on GoToMeeting. That's great. Appreciate your interest. We'll certainly be in touch with you. Typically, what we do is we set up initial telephone conversation to find out what you are interested in accomplishing, with your business. It's kind of a checkpoint to make sure that e-commerce can, in fact, accomplish what it is that you're trying to, and certainly answer your questions as well, so that you get the understanding that you need, and assuming at the end of that conversation that it sounds like it's something that will make sense for your business. Typically, the next thing we set up is a demonstration. Demos are normally done online because Adrienne does those. So she sets those up, walks you through, shows you how certainly the software works, the energy engine itself, which is the backbone. And if you think about the energy engine, and this webinar isn't intended to really talk a lot about the engine, but it's what's called a white labeled solution. So the energy engine actually is designed by you in terms of its look and its feel. So your customers, when they go to your site, know that they're on your site. It's not some template that's unbranded or anything like that. So it's customized for you, for your particular business. So the engine itself that we provide to you runs in the background. It makes everything happen. It allows the transactions to take place. It allows the automated marketing to be done to people that are visiting your site. It does all of the things behind the scenes and is extremely, extremely flexible. But anyway, the second step is normally a demonstration so you can actually see the power of the engine as well as the other components of the business system that we give you in order to help ensure your success, which comes along with the engine, because it's most people don't have online selling experience. Fortunately we do to a large extent, and we're glad to share that with our clients.
Okay, and for those of you that have already shared your email with me and have asked, I certainly will be in touch with you. And for those that may be interested and have not mentioned it, I will be sending out an email with John's email address, my email address, and information on how to get in touch with us. Okay, next question, John, is what is the typical time frame to get a new online business up and running? Is it weeks, months, or et cetera?
Great question. Adrienne, since you do all that heavy lifting, why don't you answer that one?
Well, you know what? It kind of fluctuates. I have done one in as little as what did we figure, John? It was something like 13 days when we were pushed to the limits. But I think the average would be probably just a matter of a couple weeks if everything is in line. I put out a booklet, and that booklet shows all of the setup features. It sets up the zip codes, all the rules, and John always quotes that there are over 100 rules. But what we do is we kind of show you the defaults for everything and recommendations to set it up. So I try to guide everyone through a nice, easy form of a setup through this booklet. So if you can sit down and go through the booklet and your zip codes and your pricing and all of that fun stuff, and you have your design, that's the big thing. Sure. You have a logo, you have in mind what you want your design to look like. It can be a simple couple weeks. If you need a designer, we can help you, get in touch with one, or if you have one already that you know, that's where the time can be. It can add on another couple weeks or more. So that's where the time can fluctuate. John, do you want to add anything to that?
Maybe just to reinforce that the setup process is a cooperative process between you and us. So because the energy engine is not a plain vanilla box, and it's customized for you, you really need to tell Adrienne what that custom setup really means. And like she said, she'll guide you along the way with her booklet, or as I call it, the setup wizard, because she does make it seem like a lot of wizardry because she can do it so easily once she has the information. But it is a cooperative effort, And we can in fact move fairly quickly, make it easy for you, and walk you through every step. Adrian also does have a lot of defaults in there for a lot of those business rules, so don't let that number of better than 100 intimidate you. But the point is, the reason why they're there is it's your business, and the Energy Engine allows you to run that business the way that you want to run that business. And now I don't want to get into all of those variables at this point because it'll just take a lot of time to go through them. But if it can be done, we've probably done it in our own experience, or wanted to do it in our own experience, and have built that into the engine. So it provides the flexibility that you need to be able to run the business the way you want to do it efficiently, and to be able to serve your customers the way that they expect to be serviced.
Okay. And John, this seems to be the week for this question. Does Energy Engine integrate with existing commercial software packages, example, ads, Blue Cow, Taurus systems, etc.?
Yeah, no, good question. And yes, it can. The Energy Engine is actually uses state-of-the-art technology. So, a matter of fact, even from an installation point of view, it runs on the cloud. So you don't even have to have hardware within your office. All you need to be able to access the Energy Engine is the internet. So we have companies where their drivers are accessing the engine from tablets in the in the cab of trucks. With that technology, it actually makes it pretty darn flexible to be able to integrate with other systems. We had a conversation, if any of you happen to be using digital dispatcher. We had a meeting with those folks just a couple of days ago that actually relates to one of our clients. And in that particular case, that client runs ads. They happen to be a larger multi-location company, so they were interested in integrating day one. We can, in fact, accomplish that. But in that particular case, it made more sense for us to integrate with Digital Dispatcher rather than integrating with ads, which I believe is also going to be, in the case of this particular client, much, much less expensive for them to do the integration that way, but it'll still accomplish everything that the client needs. So, yeah, Adrian has set up what's called web services with her development and technical team, and so that web services kind of sits in the middle as kind of a translator, and information from the engine would go into the into web services and then out to whatever other type of system that information needs to be shared with. That said, in most cases, our clients, unless they are a large company like the one that I mentioned, if they're a single location dispatch company, most of our clients will not do that integration day one because a lot of times it's expensive for the client to be able to do that integration, just to wire those systems together. So we suggest, hey, starting out until you get the business, really running, and it gets to the point where it's burdensome. Start out. We'll show you, how to make some of the manual entries to actually get delivery information actually into your host system, and then get delivery details back to the engine to actually do the billing and satisfy all the other customer needs on the other end. It can be done very effectively without integration, at least in the early stages as well. But then when you get to the point where it cost justifies doing that integration, absolutely get it done.
Okay, and that seemed to be the last question. So with that, I'd like to thank you, John, and thank you to all of our attendees for taking the time this morning. Like I said, you will be receiving an email from me with instructions on how to request a more personalized demo, or if you need to contact us for any additional questions. So with that, thank you, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks, everyone.